Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Goodman, Director of Marketing and Development for the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana. We're here at 318 Latino Studios for Shreveport-Bossier, my city, my community, my home. And we have a super special discussion today and guest. Our guest is Ronald Collins Jr. Good to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate this very special occasion. I have a great amount of respect for this organization, and it's a very fine legacy in this region and the state.
Thank you. Well, can't wait to share your story with everyone. So I'm gonna hop in. If I get anything wrong, please feel free to correct me and set me straight. But on November 6, 1920, the Shreveport Sun was founded by Melvin Lee Collins Sr. It is the oldest weekly newspaper for African Americans in Louisiana. Fast forward to 2025. You are the fourth generation, I believe, running the paper and the great-grandson of Melvin Collins, the founder.
That's right.
So my first question for you is how long have you been with the Sun? And can you share some of your earliest memories of being around this incredible family business?
Yes. I came to the Shreveport Sun in the year 2020. Unfortunately, it was after my father passed. I was at LSUS at the time and had some jobs, but nothing on any type of serious career track. And so I approached my cousin, Sonia Landry, who at that time was the editor and publisher of the paper. And I simply said, if there's any way I could be of service, I would like to make myself available. This paper is a legacy that we cannot afford to just not, and our family, we have to invest ourselves in it. And she found a role for me. I was wearing many hats at that time. I was doing everything from going to the post office to a small delivery route for distribution, and found more increasing ways to be directly involved with the actual production of the paper. I'm not one to bring a lot of self to celebrate my own achievements, but I feel like the same standard at which Melvin Lee Collins Sr. Founded the newspaper, that we are adhering to those same core fundamental practices as we publish editions in year 2025, and I strive to continue to do that throughout the foreseeable future.
And what's your earliest, very, very earliest memory that you can think of as it relates to the Shreveport Sun?
You mean just in life?
Sure, yeah. The office, the paper, anything Shreveport Sun related.
I believe I was in about third or fourth grade, and one of my teachers at New Life Montessori school, my sister and I had arrived to the school for some early function. I honestly don't remember what it was, but we were sitting in the gymnasium on the bleachers, and one of my teachers came and said, "I saw a story about your family on the news," and she was very excited that this culture or this history was introduced to her, and she kind of wanted to engage me in it, but I was like, I was a child, so I was like, I don't know. My dad goes to work every day. But I didn't fully appreciate the legacy at that time. But as time went on, and as family, stories and conversations and family gatherings, it quickly became apparent to me that what this newspaper has accomplished is an extraordinarily special accomplishment. And I would say it was an accomplishment for Melvin Lee Collins Sr. exclusively, but we have a moniker that we are a community paper. We are a reflection of the community. So the success that we have is really the success of the community.
Love that. All right, so just this next question is more about logistics. Tell me about the Sun in 2025, and what I mean by that is, how often do you publish? Do you still publish a print edition? And tell me about some of your social media activity as well.
Yes, we publish each Thursday. We still go through lining up stories, editing, finding a central theme for most of the socioeconomic issues that we are tackling in this day and age. So it is a process that is not. I say that we are unique, but I would think that we are not all that different from any other media outlet in this region. We strive to get exclusives. We strive to be first to cover a particular area of focus, but we want to do that within the confines of journalistic integrity and those things that are appropriate for telling a narrative.
And so you do publish? Do you publish a print edition to this day?
Yes, sir.
And where would one? And you have it online as well, right? There is a.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes, sir. We do.
So where are the best? Where is the Shreveport Sun available, print wise, in this day and age?
We have a number of distribution points, primarily in African American neighborhoods, Queensboro, Moortown, but we are in your standard retail outlets, your Circle K's, your Walmarts, your grocery stores, your mom and pop operations. We try to have those points at which people who are interested in the kind of culturally significant stories that we approach have accessibility to that. So, various points. I will say, perhaps a little bit more predominantly in African American community, but yes, we have a number of distribution points.
And social media, where are you today? I know in preparing for today's discussion, I was pretty intrigued to see you have a Facebook page, and on the Facebook page, there's some videos on there that were very well done and very interesting. So tell me a little bit just about kind of the current social media activity you have going.
Yes, I produce most of the Facebook content. Some years ago, I approached Sonia Landry, my cousin, about having control of that. Again, going back to previous question, I came to the Shreveport Sun and I was filing documents and doing a little bit more clandestine type activities, but I had a desire to kind of stretch, to kind of reach for a little bit more, and so slowly through time, those responsibilities increased. One of those being the manager of the content for social media, and so. I will go to an event, and if I feel like there are some of those seeds of wisdom that can be planted in a visual, video-based platform, then I will do my best to narrate or or to just let the story tell itself through some testimonial or a visual means by which people can appreciate that a somewhat simple event can in fact have truly impactful resonance.
Well, I encourage folks who are listening to this to go see some of these videos and look at your Facebook page. I was informed and enjoyed them quite a bit.
Appreciate it.
All right. On February 12th of this year, the Shreveport Times published an article that, according to the US Census Bureau, 56.1% of Shreveport is black, 36.5% is white, 3.9% Hispanic, 1.5% is Asian, and 0.2% is American Indian and Alaska Native. The Sun continues to be, and has always been, an important resource in our community, providing information on Black people's progress, noting times of Black social events, and acting as a sounding board for Black opinion. My question for you, and you've talked a little bit about some of this, but my specific question is, how do you see the role of the Sun in 2025 versus perhaps what it was in the time of the first, second, and third generation Collins editors and owners?
Contextually, you have to appreciate that when the Shreveport Sun was first in operation in the 1920s, we were in an era where segregation was prominent. It wasn't a question. It's what was. We were in an era in which Black people were unquestionably put into the role of second-class citizens. And one thing that I will say about Melvin Lee Collins Sr., my great-grandfather, was that he was not satisfied with the status quo. And so he had to do stories that went directly at some fairly contentious issues, sometimes celebrating accomplishments that the mainstream media was ignoring, particularly from the Black community.
And when you say ignoring, maybe not even covering.
Right. I'll give you an example. There was a story that was covered in the Shreveport Sun. I don't know exactly when it was, but I know that it occurred in our early formation, that a African American gentleman was walking on the sidewalk in downtown Shreveport, and a driver ran the curb and hit him, nearly killing him. The Shreveport Sun ran a story on that particular incident. I think that most people will be surprised that the driver was issued a $10 ticket for this, assault, this, attempted, what could have been a crime, was given kind of a pat on the wrist type of response. Mainstream media in Shreveport virtually ignored such an incident, or they framed it in such a way that it was everything was reversed. The actual victim was treated as if had done something wrong, and so the Shreveport Sun, under my great-grandfather's vision, felt it necessary to cover issues, contentious as they may have been, with raw truth. And sometimes this was something that had to be the primary focus, very keenly, documenting the perils and successes of folks in the Black community. And my great-grandfather did this unapologetically. It's what needed to be brought to the front of public consciousness. In order to create change, we must acknowledge that there's an issue in the first place. And so that is definitely a part of his legacy. When Melvin Lee Collins Sr. died in 1962, his son, Melvin Lee Collins Jr., took over publishing of the Shreveport Sun, and this was his heyday was in the midst of the 60s and the 70s and a small part of the 80s before his passing. And there were a lot of incidents where he was covering police assaults. He was covering things that weren't necessarily savory, or we all love it when the big sporting event or the these kind of happenings that inspire unity and everyone coming together. But the unfortunate reality is, if you're going to tell the truth, sometimes you have to tell the ugly truth. And so there were a lot of incidents where Melvin Lee Collins Jr. Was put in a position where he had to cross or go against the grain of individuals in our community, such as George Dortois. I understand that George Dortois would call my granduncle, and he would say, "Hey, Collins, that's not right," and he'd say, "Okay, we'll explain it to him. Make it make sense." That these things, patterns of things are going on, and they go unchecked or they go unrecognized, and thus during that period, a significant amount of effort was put towards these comings and goings, good and bad, that told the story of the Black community in Shreveport. Now, I don't mean to say that in the year 2025 that is something that we don't do anymore. Certainly, we appreciate the significant accomplishments of African Americans in Shreveport, in the region, in the state, in our country, across the globe. But as our society has gradually, too slowly, made positive progress towards equality, we don't reject other cultures. We don't reject the significance of the story that is Shreveport. We are the Shreveport Sun. We are not Black Shreveport Sun. We are a community newspaper, and if we come across content that uplifts this community, we are not going to reject it.
Thank you. So newspapers.com is a tremendous online resource providing daily archives of many papers from around the country. My question for you, to the best of my knowledge, the Sun's currently not part of newspapers.com. So my question for you is it possible that the Sun would ever become part of the newspapers.com database?
I have engaged with several individuals currently in the last 2 or 3 years about those type of archiving efforts. Either, I would not be opposed to what you've just spoken about or other credible sources. Currently, we have an agreement with Southern University Shreveport in which they have a number of our back issues on what they call blue film in their library system. And, we definitely need to put a little bit more focus on making sure that we can maximize the availability of people consuming content, present or past, in a more public spectrum.
And if I go to Southern today, can I find Shreveport Sun content dating all the way back to the beginning?
That actually occurred before my time, so I cannot say that from day one that they have all archives, but I can say that they are available for public viewing. The one thing that I think might help is if there was an active database that was searchable. If there was a subject, a time, a incident that one wanted to search, I think you would have to, in some in some capacity have a working knowledge of the context of that situation to say, this happened in such and such year. It's very likely that the Sun covered it in its, as that was a hotbed issue. You would have to have a little bit of insight to guess that without a searchable database to concretely find such information. But I've been generally quite pleased with their efforts at Southern, and it's a partnership that we have come to really appreciate.
I didn't even know a lot of the archives were there, so that's great to know. And I will say, just to supplement what you just said, that is one of the beauties of newspapers.com, is that it is searchable. So should the Sun ever end up on newspapers.com, it would potentially facilitate some of that research and some of that passing of knowledge as we move forward, potentially.
Sure.
So I want to kind of zoom out a little bit from the Sun for my next two questions. My first question for you is just, as you look out at our community as a whole, as you look out at Shreveport-Bossier in 2025, talk to me about just some of the things that concern you the most in this day and age.
Well, at present, and I intend to hopefully get a little bit more clarification today within the Shreveport City Council meeting. I think that we definitely have to put energy into exploring the housing, affordable housing crisis that we have here in our city. This is something where we have seen apartment complexes are not encompassing a standard of living, of livability that people of hardworking people, perhaps at the lower end of the economic spectrum, but nevertheless doing their due diligence to live safely, healthy capacity, and they're definitely people paying rent and doing those things that are responsible to live in a safe environment, or not finding those options to be open. So housing, affordable housing availability is certainly an issue. Educational attainment, I think, is still something that we recently had a community meeting with US Congressman Cleo Fields. And this was a question that came up. What are we doing about ensuring that the world's most powerful and employable tech companies are coming to Louisiana? And his basic response was that we have to make sure that we have a workforce that is ready to inhabit those positions, and the way we do that is we invest in education. So I think that educational attainment and the will for people to be in a particular standard of living and realize that they can improve upon that. I think that year in, year out, another fine organization, the United Way of Louisiana, they put out their Alice report, and it is quite quite shocking to see the amounts of people right here in this parish, in this city, that are living paycheck to paycheck, that are living in a state of financial uncertainty, that if they were to have a significant singular challenge, a health crisis, or disruption to their weekly, monthly living situation, that they may be destitute. They may be finding themselves in an unrecoverable financial crisis. And so we must in some way find resources and find the will to combat poverty. I think that another area of another area that we really need to look into is culture. Shreveport, known for a lot of things. We have a lot of sports figures. We have a lot of history, we cuisine, and a lot of these things. I think we need to really invest in the arts. I think we really need to invest in things that resonate in anyone's life, whether you live on the West Coast or the East Coast or Canada or Mexico or anywhere. I think that we can all appreciate the development of culturally unique things that we all enjoy. And so I think we have a lot of avenues here in Shreveport and the Northwest Louisiana region. And I just think that we need to put a little bit more emphasis on with young folks and upcoming generation to say, you too can add to this distinctiveness that we have previously enjoyed and make it an even better standard.
Love that. And then just on the other side of that question, just as you look out at our community as a whole, what makes you hopeful? What makes you feel like, hey, we're actually moving in a decent direction, or we're actually moving in a fairly positive path with respect to this or that?
Before I can answer that question, I have to talk about something that deeply impacted me some years ago. I had an opportunity. I've had many opportunities to hear about positive things and negative things, and I think one of the saddest things I've ever been associated with during my time at the Shreveport Sun. I went to a community meeting, and there were agents there from one of our community advocacy organizations, and this particular event was dealing with human trafficking, and I heard something that I don't know if I have truly appreciated it fully years later. But two young girls unfortunately found themselves in a situation where their mother was trading them for drugs, and trading them in a sexual manner where they were being abused. One of the two children was, I want to say she was about 9, and the younger sibling was about 6. And what so deeply impacted me was the 9-year-old understanding the situation, volunteered to not expose the younger sibling to the abuse. She volunteered to take her spot, so to speak. The wherewithal that a child would have to have that maturity. At that age, I was thinking about toys and cartoons and things that I would have to assume that most children occupy their time with. But that has stood with me for a number of years. And so when I see abuse, when I see those circumstances in our community that people could easily give up, they could easily succumb to the circumstances that surround them, and yet they fight on. Yet they find a way to hold on, sometimes with bitter tears and the last of their strength, but they find a way to hold on. Those stories and narratives, to me, speak to our community more so than sporting accomplishment I'm so pleased. I spoke about culture a moment ago. I'm so pleased that at the school board meetings several years now, they have had these exhibitions before the main agenda for the school board goes on. They generally have some type of performance or some type of positive exhibit to some accomplishment that some of our young people are doing. I certainly find value in that. But when I hear about these kinds of stories, and I do realize that the story that I articulated is at the far extreme. But when for the greatness that Shreveport has within it, we know that there are those situations that take a little bit more courage, a little bit more focus, a little bit more just desire to overcome. And those are the stories that really tell me that even when someone's down, they're not necessarily out. And that if they can find the will and the strength, that there's nothing that cannot be accomplished. I'm also a person of faith, and I believe that people of goodwill and people that can humble themselves and acknowledge that I may not be where I want to be, but God is continuously finding avenues from which life can be improved upon. And so I'm sorry for this terribly long this terribly long answer, but I like to appreciate the obvious, but perhaps one of the things that is a part of my personality is that I see good in the struggle. As long as the struggle is not the end of the story, I see that as something that can really embolden people, throughout whatever situation they face. And so, what is it that makes me feel optimistic that Shreveport has not seen its best days? The tenacity, the pride. When we're doing right, the respect. I will never forget. Many years ago, we had a number of young children who drowned in the Red River, and for all of the racial insensitivities that this city has unfortunately manifested, for all of the divisions and separation and things that perhaps separate us, this community came together and they said, we're going to put our arms around you and we're going to make you whole. That came from all communities, all ethnic backgrounds. And I was never more proud of this city than in that particular circumstance, where in more cases than not, we find ways to be better,
Well, Ron, I so appreciate you. Those were my set questions for you today. Is there anything else before we wrap up that you'd like to share? By all means, if you'd like to, we have all the time.
I would just like to say that one of the things that that I find remarkable about the early days of the Shreveport Sun was that advertising stream as a tangible revenue stream was unfortunately just not all that consistent. And so During the time in which the newspaper was being initially produced, the Shreveport Sun had over 200 news boys or paper boys or young men that would come and they would get bundles of papers and they would go out to the various communities and they would sell them. That group of young men is as important to the story of the Shreveport Sun as any negative situation or hate mail or whatever. The negative. I look to examples such as that as very key component to the success. I think I said it somewhere earlier that we are a reflection of the community, and I so appreciate this opportunity with this organization that I have, again, profound respect for. We don't always look for the limelight for celebration or that pat on the back, but it is very nice to be here with you in this setting and to celebrate. That the Shreveport Sun has been a part of this community, and we're gonna keep it going for as long as it possibly can.
Well, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for continuing this tremendous and critical legacy in our community.
Thank you. Thank you.